get them through the beginning of this seed. I did talk about gambles early on with party composition, and jkoper has definitely got the more gambly of the two compositions. And how well that gamble pays off is going to be largely determined by the spell selection in about the first 4 levels.
We've got
lit
lit
3
to clear out the room.
That's a pretty solid, pretty solid rank 1 spell to be getting.
Wall and Life available at White Magic level 1.
Because of the positioning of the life spell, the red mages will never be able, or rather, the red mages cannot learn it. But if he does get a class upgrade, the red wizard can learn the spell in that slot. So
we get a look at the item shop where we've got tents available. They will get used frequently.
Yeah, definitely. Maya just mowing down imps with that lit 3, getting work done. And you're going to be seeing the benefits of that golden experience boost already, with a ton of golden experience from those relatively weak enemies.
Well, jkoper is also going to see the benefit of the double red mage strategy right up front, because he's going to have double the casts of lit 3 that Maya is going to have.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And you can already see the difference in strategy here, because Maya only has access to 1 lit 3 caster. He went out to get a kill in a level so he could get an extra charge and a little bit more safety. Whereas jkoper can just kind of beeline straight toward Temple of Fiends and start checking chests. 9,000 gold is nice to find early.
Yeah, won't make most people's top 5 lists for things you'd like to see in that treasure chest, but it's also not something you're going to shake your fist at.
No, objectively 900 times better than the 10 gold chest, I would say. Math.
So one of the things you're always on the lookout for early is in this round 1, skill shuffle is on. So not spells, those will retain their original locations, original enemies, but when you get into these, any encounter that you haven't been into yet before, there's always that little bit of feeling it out to see, are they going to have something nasty?
And specifically what is the most nasty here are the touch abilities, Death Touch, Stone Touch. Those are the things that can really scare you. But yes, enemy spells and skills not quite yet randomized at this point in the tourney, but they will be later.
And it looks like jkoper is going to go ahead and go for Garland. As long as you have 1 lit 3 in the bank, you're probably fine. He's got two. Not that you aren't fine anyways, but I'm not... Well, I guess he didn't buy a weapon for the fighter yet, so damage would be a little bit behind there. But lit 3 is plenty to take care of business, and he's going to get level 4 and rescue a princess.
Yep, and he's going to exchange his princess for 1 bridge and 1 slightly used guitar / lute. Pretty good deal, I would say.
Well, it's a lot better than getting to Temple of Fiends and being soft-locked.
That's also true.
And they did pick up the katana, which is going to be worth quite a bit selling.
Oh yeah, with no thief or useless thief or semi-useful ninja, that's definitely just gold on a stick. Nothing too exciting in the weapon or armor shops in Corneria here, or Cornea, or however you pronounce the city's name. I'm thinking of Star Fox.
I'd say call it whatever you want, just don't call it late for dinner.
Just as long as you call me. Yeah, jkoper stocking up on the kind of the basics here, getting some softs just in case he finds that Stone Touch enemy. Picking up Piers, because Lord knows there's a bunch of guys that cast poison in the Marsh Cave. Tents and heals, all pretty standard.
Yeah, you want to take advantage of the heals as well when you have access to them. The reason I say that is you might get all the way over to Crescent Lake, be ready to go into Gurgu Volcano, and find out they don't have heals for sale. So it's always a good idea to bring a nice stack of them before you get there.
That is definitely true. Yeah, the only guarantees for the beginning item shop are there has to be a pure to cure poison and a soft to cure stone available at the first item shop, just so you don't get completely hosed. That is something that the makers of this did put in there. And we see some nice exposition going on in ichbinmiah's screen. We all know who programmed it, who made the scenario. All very important information.
Cutting edge graphics back in the 8-bit days.
Man, you want to see cutting edge graphics? I can't wait till the end portion of this game. They spend all their time and energy on those graphics. You're going to see Maya doing something interesting here. You notice that he dropped a save tent right on the bottom of that river. And if he doesn't like what he finds up in Matoya's cave here, he's just going to reset and kind of teleport save back to that location. It'll save him the walk back.
Yeah, of course you lose the experience of anything you got going up, but then you've also cut out half the walk. But that ice sword, not bad, and a pro ring.
Yeah, that's... If it was just the ice sword, I might say, meh, I'll get it when I come back here later. But the pro ring is probably enough to make you want to consider walking it out. It's not that far of a walk.
Well, also for Maya, he doesn't have the black belt to deal the melee damage, so I think having a good sword is pretty important for him.
Yep, that's a really good point. Very good point.
See if jkoper will opt to keep it. Looks like he will.
And ichbinmiah was ambushed by desert wolves, apparently. Luckily, they don't have anything scary.
Water.
they thought he looked like an oasis. Must have been that black mage's hat. Kind of looks like pointy like a palm tree. I can see it. But they get the business out of a lit 3 for their troubles.
And Maya gets level 5 for his troubles.
It's a win-win-win-lose. The lose part was the wolves.
Well, then when did you have to go lose? Too technical. Math.
Alright, I give that one a solid B+. Good work. Alright, so we see Maya heading into Provoca. This is the pirate town where you get the ship, but way more interesting than that is what's in these magic shops.
So obviously we're already seeing that spells are randomized, item shop randomized, weapons, all the shops randomized. And as anyone may already be aware, treasures are randomized. We've obviously seen that already. One of the things that is not randomized, at least at present in the randomizer, and I won't say it never will be, but currently not, is NPC items. So for instance, you get the ship here, it will always be here.
Yep, you always turn the crown into Astos, and the crystal into Matoya, and etc., etc. Nothing much exciting for black magic, maybe Saber. For Coper's red mages, but no big clearing spells, unfortunately, except for harm, I guess, in the white magic.
Good question in chat. How long do we expect the run to take? And of course, there's a lot of variation based on what items they need. How tough are the Fiends going to be in Temple of Fiends Revisited? We've seen a lot of these runs end up being sub 2 hours, and these are two very good runners who could easily do that. But if they have to go hunting for a required item, we could easily see 20-30 minutes added on to that.
Oh yeah, it just depends on how generous RNG this is, I guess.
I thought we were calling it Zar RNG. RNG.
I've always been in favor of just changing the name of the Cardia Islands to Zardia Islands. I think Edge and I threw that in on our randomizer guide just for funsies. Alright, no bottle in Provoca item shop. Although, important to note, there is houses available here, so might just pick up a couple of those. Meanwhile, we see jkoper just destroying pirates with lightning. Should have named his red mages Thor.
Yeah, if you've got a 2 or a 3 against those pirates, they're not going to be much trouble, and that could become very important later on when you get into later round flags of the tournament, where you might be going against pirates that have Scorch, they might have Blizzard, they might have Nuke, all kinds of unpleasant stuff.
Yeah, I think the worst seed I ever played was, there was no, like, big clearing magic available, no, like, Fire 2, Ice 3, anything like that. Before level 2, and the pirates all had Fire 3, so that was a good time. A lot of power leveling to get through that one.
Do you remember what level you beat them at?
I think everyone had to go to the Peninsula of Power to grind. It must Wall was available, which cut the fire damage, but you just had to pray to God that you got attacks in before they cast too much of it.
Question in chat: what are some of the major run killers to look out for? That'll be more of a factor, I would say, in the later rounds of the tournament, but the biggest obstacle we've seen popping up recurring has been a bad roll of stats from a player perspective for Kraken and Tiamat, they have been able to wreck some runs.
Yeah, any really upscaled boss, basically you take any stat that a boss has a lot of, like Kraken's attack damage or Tiamat's absorb and invade, and if that gets rolled higher, it just makes them that much more dangerous. The other run killer would be packs of enemies that have that death touch or stone touch we were talking about.
Well, nothing fun being found in the dwarf cave. Two easy
so
chests.
That means we got ourselves a marsh cave seed, ladies and gentlemen. Strap in. It's getting awesome.
So
by awesome, I mean 5 gajillion ambushes and a spider poison cave.
In the earlier race tonight, one of the commentators said that Ordeal's Castle was the worst dungeon in the game. I quickly chimed in the chat, it's not even second. Early Marsh Cave is not fun for anyone.
Magic Shop's not being super generous to jkoper here. Kind of a dud black magic level 2 and 3, so he's gonna have to hope for something really good in level 4 just to help his clearing. Because Lit 3 is nice, but probably the least useful of the 3 elementals of fire, ice, and lightning, just for general enemy killing. Alright, Invis 2 for White Magic level 4. That's a great spell for defense. You could layer it to raise your evade.
And learnable by the red mages, so he's going to have plenty of casts available. And Ice 3 in the black magic shop.
Yeah, things just went from not great to pretty okay for jkoper's double red mage strategy. Although, of note, still no warp or exit.
Also no life yet, am I correct?
That is correct, yeah. Although we do know where Life 1 is. Life is learnable by red mages if they class change. So if we're telling jkoper to get a life once he gets the tail, it won't be an insult, it'll just be, reminding him about his options.
Also, we have seen people run parties without fighters, but sometimes that early white magic will be very useful when the fighters class change and they can learn the first 4 levels white magic. Or magic from them, not all of the white magic, just to be clear on that point.
So that would be a pretty sweet class. I like this band's ideas. Alright, so we got our runners making their way toward Marsh Cave here, dropping a save outside, and we're on a lookout for the TNT at this point. Or the crown, which will lead to the TNT.
Or the floater, because you never mind seeing that early.
Oh no, I mean, you definitely want that. Although, can't cash in the floater without the TNT, unfortunately.
This is true, but one of the reasons I never mind seeing something like that early is because I still know I'm going to find the TNT, so if you find an extra one, that's bonus.
Well, an early floater would be very interesting because it would really open up the game, and it could lead to a lot of routing differences between the 2 runners, so that could be very interesting to see.
Yeah, and as a viewer, I'm always a fan of seeing different strategies play out, and I like to think, what might the runners be considering in this? What are their options? How might this work? All kinds of fun stuff.
I always get trolled by 5-letter words like cabin or cloth because I think it's crown, and then I'm like, oh, awesome, but then no music plays, and I remember how to read, and I'm sad.
5-letter words that start with C for 200, Alex. So let's talk about why would they check these 3 treasure chests up here on the north side of the cave first.
Ooh, out of it. For ichbinmiah. But that is not... he's gonna walk it out, and with 2 fighters, I would walk it out too.
Also the ice armor, which is definitely an improvement for him at this stage.
Oh yeah. But yes, the question you started there before we were really interrupted by Maya finding cool items was the reason to check up here is because they're the more accessible chests in Marsh Cave, and if you don't like what you see, you just reset out once you check the chest. Be interesting to see if jkoper deems the adamant and ice armor worthy of walking out of lame ambush heavy Marsh Cave. he probably will. But he might not. As someone is correctly pointing out in chat, Adamant is not usable until class change because it becomes Excalibur, which is only usable by a Knight, which is the upgrade class change from Fighter. So Adamant will sit in the inventory and if and when he finds the tail, because it's no guarantee we'll find one.
That is true, but if you want to play the statistics, you're gonna, in all likelihood, open over half the treasure chests in the game, so that means you'd have over 50% chance of finding the tail. Nothing's for sure, but if you're thinking about possibilities, it's more likely than it's not.
Oh yeah, and in this version of the randomizer, with these flags that we're using, the Excalibur, which is what the Adamant becomes, is pretty much the second best sword in the game. Without question.
So jkoper does like finding the ice armor, equips it on his fighter, and he'll walk on out of the cave, only to go back in.
And in case you were wondering why I was complaining about Marsh Cave a lot earlier, it's for exactly what you're seeing on your screen. Lots of encounters in here have a very high ambush rate. The group of shadows, I believe, has over a 90% ambush rate. And a lot of these guys cast poison spells, and they're just awful. So if you don't have to go in here, you usually are happy.
So that would be a case where you get TNT in one of the chests that you're able to access before coming into Marsh Cave. Usually most players will go ahead and take advantage of the chance to skip Marsh Cave and only come back to it if they're missing an item that they haven't been able to find elsewhere.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, if I got TNT, I wouldn't touch Marsh Cave until well after Volcano and Ice Cave, and maybe even Ordeals, depending on how gambly I was feeling. ichbinmiah doing what I do sometimes and forgetting exactly where I am in a dungeon because of the frequent encounter rate. Hey, there's our TNT.
Well, we knew it had to be here. So first chest on this floor. If you felt like gambling, you could leave early, but I never would because there's too many other treasure chests that you might as well check while you're here instead of coming back later.
Yeah, I mean, you're literally already here. You could make a case for leaving early, but I feel like checking the rest of these chests is the correct decision. And Maya apparently agrees with our ghostly voices from the Nether that he can't hear because he looks like he's going to be checking these chests.
And the important thing to realize is there's not equal chances exactly for everything to be in the same places. For example, with Crown, it's not allowed to be behind one of the locked doors, so obviously it can't have the same odds of being there as something else. But generally speaking, any of these chests have the same chance of having Crown in them as one of the other places, so check every chest you have access to until you find everything.
And here's our nice unrunnable wizard fight from Maya's point of view.
Good question in chat if they're playing on the same seed, and yes they are, so we'll see all the items in the exact same places for both runners. Keeps everything nice and fair for them.
Also lets my poor brain follow the action a little bit more clearly too. Not a whole lot more exciting in Marsh Cave here, it looks like. Just a chest or two left to check.
So when they leave here, they'll be heading up to Dwarf Cave to turn in the TNT.
Yep, and there's that TNT for jkoper.
Which a very astute observer might notice was in a different chest than it was for Maya. That's because these chest contents are linked and you can get it from either location. jkoper did a little bit different route to pick up that one.
Yep, and that is technically a little faster than if you're already down here planning to check all the chests anyway. The route jkoper did does save you about 10 steps or so.
Over on Maya's side, the white mage has been KO'd.
Ugh, those guys are a relatively rare encounter on this floor, but they have a pretty decent attack for their level, so. And the ambushing continues.
So this has not been what anyone would consider a dream marsh cave, but definitely both players have seen benefits in equipment of coming here, aside from the TNT, of course.
Well, I mean, at this point, the TNT had to be in here because it was the last option. But, adamants, ice armor, no death or stone touch enemies. In terms of the randomizer, I'd say they made up pretty well, all things considered. I'm always hoping for, a brutal marsh cave on seeds that I'm not personally running because I'm a jerk.
At least you're honest about it. That's
Yeah,
got to
pretty
count for
much.
something.
I get karma points for that. Just like I get karma points for letting all the Tyros go.
Question in the chat, are they playing at 2x speed? And that's kind of an interesting question. You want to elaborate on that one?
Yeah, definitely. For people that are familiar with the vanilla version of this game, you kind of remember it's pretty grindy. A lot of the enemies just don't give a lot of golden experience. A lot of the spell shop items are very expensive. So there are a lot of what we call speed hacks implemented in this game. You'll notice that they're running about twice as fast. A lot of the battle animations are sped up. When the characters move forward and swing their weapons or cast their spells, they do go a little bit faster. A lot of the menuing items just go by a little faster. So these things were all added just to kind of make this game a little less brutal to play. Keeps those average times under 2 hours, hopefully, anyway.
jkoper is headed north.
Ooh, sleep touch.
Didn't see the crown, did we?
I know, I was too busy watching Maya. But the sleep touch Gur imps, they're definitely annoying.
And can definitely slow you down, because even if you recover right away, you lose your action, but he gets away.
Oh, no, jkoper's just heading around the mountain there.
Okay.
As I say, if we both miss crown, then we're bad and should feel bad about being bad.
But we're not bad, so it's okay.
Question in chats, am I pro or anti-Tyro? I'm definitely pro-Tyro. Tyro is adorable and cute and did nothing wrong. And people that kill Tyros are horrible people.
And as long as Tyro leaves me alone, it doesn't bother me. However, if he hits me or doesn't let me run away, then, if anything that doesn't let me run away is gonna die.
That's harsh. I will run forever until the Tyro lets me go because, he's had to deal with so much aggression. Sometimes he can't help but to lash out against the anger world that he lives in, and I just have to accept that.
Well, I will say, by the time I get there, though, my levels are usually high enough that I don't have trouble running away. So I can't even think of the last time I killed a Tyro.
That's good. Because I had my hand over the kick button in chat. I just want to let you know that. Alright, so we're seeing Lit 3 doing some real work against these Sahags here. Because of the way the randomizer works with its boost, you get 5 times the base experience in this round for killing any enemy. And you get a flat 500 bonus on top of that. So early game, these kind of popcorn formations, we call them, where there are 7, 8, 9 individual enemies, killing them all with a clearing spell is a great way to get some quick early EXP and gold.
And worth noting that is a multiplier bonus, it's not randomized, so you're always going to get the 5 times plus 500 in this round.
That is correct, yes.
So we see the TNT turn in for jkoper, and then typically this will result in a stop in Melmond to see what's available in the stores, and then a trip over to see the old men doing yoga in the park.
Pretty much, yep. One of the other kind of speed hack or routing differences we added to this game, just to kind of make the randomizer a little more interesting, is that you do not have to kill Lich before you get the canoe in Crescent Lake. So because of that fact, a lot of runners will go straight to Crescent Lake, pick up the canoe, and then usually go to the volcano, because that is a required dungeon with a lot of chests in it that does not require any extra items to complete. But if you're feeling crazy and want to gamble, you could consider going to Ordeals or Ice Cave first. But I have a feeling both of these experienced runners are going to play the numbers and probably go straight to the volcano.
Yeah, and people who have played the vanilla game might not realize that You can go to Crescent Lake before beating the Earth Fiend. That's not a difference in randomizer, but they won't give you the canoe unless you've actually beaten Lich yet. So that is a change in the randomizer, which also helps prevent problems by not being able to complete the Earth Cave.
Yeah, they're real boat stingy. They're not like the pirates, you can't just beat them up and take their canoe. And there's only 8 of them instead of 9 pirates, and they're probably old and feeble, but whatever. They are the warriors of light, I guess. They're not the warriors of beating up old men.
Unless you read 8-bit theater.
That's true. Whenever the randomizer gives me a black mage, I always name him 8-bit in honor of the delicious 8-bit theater webcomic.
Harm 4 and Heal 3 available in Melmond.
Yeah, we were blathering on mindlessly while we saw the spell shops, but there was not too much exciting there.
No, nothing really exciting in the Black Magic shop. So
Harm
this
4
also
was
means
useful for the white mage party of Maya, but that's about it, maybe.
that also starts to mean, though, when you start doing the math on this, that Life 2, which is definitely a spell both runners would like, is gonna be at a 6+ level, so this could get real iffy for the red mages.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've already, having seen what was available in the magic shops that we've already seen, red mages can only learn the first and last spell in unupgraded and Melman white magic shop, so basically jkoper is going to be without a life spell unless he can find and turn in that tail. Now, how relevant that will be, depending on the luck of how enemies rolled and what treasures he finds, it might not be relevant, but it's a great safety to have.
But that also puts Fade and Nuke in the same category as well.
Yep, that is also, and Fade. I don't think we've seen either. So if it weren't for that Lit 3 and Ice spell at level 4 for Black Magic, it would be a pretty dry seed for offense. For Silver Sword, it is the best weapon you can buy. So jkoper picking up a couple of those.
Here comes our look at the Black Magic shop. There's Nuke, but
And
the red
jkoper
mage is
finding
not
out
able to learn it.
that the spells in this level are not available. I always just click them just to double check to make sure my memory's not bad on a seed, but
Which
yeah,
really, how many seconds does it take to click to check it? You may as well be sure instead of have a faulty memory.
Oh yeah, exactly. And if you play, there is a version of this randomizer flag that you can shuffle spells throughout all the shops. So all the level 1 spells won't be in the first town; they can be shuffled around. So the only way to find out whether or not you can learn it, and that mode of play is to click it and try to see.
So something we just saw from jkoper, I think, merits mention is equipping the silver swords on the red mage. So even though he's not going to have access to Nuke, he's actually going to have a pretty decent melee damage output available to him.
Yeah, I mean, red mages are your classic, jack of all trades, master of none. So they do get to. Red mages, ironically, have a better weapon selection than thieves do, as far as what they can equip. So yeah, like exactly what you said is correct. They've definitely got some physical damage output. We might see jkoper considering grinding on some Agamas or some other enemy with all his melee damage, single target.
So we see jkoper sailing up to what we naturally assume is going to be the volcano.
Yep, looks
Actually,
like
it has to be because you can't get to Ice Cave that way.
I don't know. Would be cool if you could, but and it's a pretty solid play to go to the volcano here. A lot of chests, relatively predictable enemies in here without spells and skills shuffled.
So let me ask you this question. Now that you've seen spell selection and you know you're not going to get the spells from those red mages that you would have liked going in, what you had hoped for, will that change your grinding strategy at all? Would you maybe do the black belt higher? Would you stick with your original plan of keeping some balance? What are you thinking at this stage?
Oh, that's a good question. The red mages have lit 3 at level 1, which is great, so they can kind of clear just your basic really trash. And you do have access to fast, but the best weapon you have right now is an ice sword, unless you get a class change to get to finally use that adamant. So I think it's having a black belt in my party, I might level to, the lower 20s, but I don't think I would do anything crazy like kill off all my party and just level the black belt kind of thing. Not with the way that these flags are set. But doing that strategy would not be wrong. It would take some time to level up, and it would guarantee an easy end of Temple of Fiends. But I don't know whether or not it's worth the time investment at this point.
I have meant to time that in practice just to see for my own purposes how long it actually takes, but really I only have a number on about 30 to 40, and you're talking about 4 seconds a fight once your fighter can, once your black belt, if he's solo, to one-shot it.
Oh yeah, I mean the scariest part is typically the walkout and the fight with carry and all the rest of the enemies at that point. Because all it takes is getting a stun touch enemy to stun touch your black belt to death, and you could get a wipe. So power leveling strategies are not free. There's definitely some risk associated with them.
And really true of any strategy. So you have to know what yours is going in, and you have to be prepared to adapt it.
Yeah, and Beefy Curry in chat pointing out that jkoper has made up some time on Maya here, just from kind of just general management of his inventory and pre-buying a lot of his stuff. Oh, and we see Maya just eating fire too. These red gargoyles are probably some of the scariest enemies in here because they all just cast fire too.
And the black mage killed, so Maya's going to reset, and I definitely agree with that call.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is a gross fight. I believe the Paralisks in here, the red-looking birds, also cast, I believe it is Squint. Somebody in chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but that is an instant kill spell. There are other scary enemies in here too, like the red dragon on one of the trap tiles toward the end of Volcano, casts Blaze. He's not friendly. Ooh, stun touch Peds. Oh, Maya just barely getting out of that one.
So for anyone who may be new to seeing the randomizer in action, you see the major plot items are there on the tracker, so those we're definitely on the lookout for. There's other items that are not required but are certainly useful that we'll be watching for. Things like the ribbons, the opal bracer, various things like that, and you'll definitely hear us react when one of them comes up.
Yeah, the tracker is definitely for kind of the key items. Not everything in that tracker is required to beat the game, but darn near all of them are. Ooh, the Zeus gauntlets in the Volcano Trove there, and the Ruby.
Speaking of useful items.
And jkoper finds a 4-pack of Stun Touch Peds and gets the hero run. Wow, he might not even know that there's Stun Touch yet. So finding the Ruby like this definitely means that the floater has the potential to be deep in Earth Cave. Because if it's not in here or somewhere else, we might see these runners taking the Ruby over to the Hungry Titan, feeding his crippling Ruby addiction, and getting their rods so they can clear all of Earth Cave. That would not be a terrible move.
Now, basically, they have 2 options coming out of the volcano that you'll see most of the time. One is to go to the Earth Cave, and it looks like jkoper decides, I want to save with everything I've picked up so far.
Yeah, that's a smart move.
He'll walk out, he'll save, and then any grinding he's going to do is a little less risky because the time loss isn't as bad if you get wiped out.
Nope, I'm totally in favor of this. It resets his spell charges on his red mages too, because I believe he bought a few houses. I'd be real curious to see what jkoper's volcano strategy is going to be, whether or not he's going to solo grind just his black belt, or if he's just going to grind it all, or just skip on through. We'll have to see. In the meantime,
think it would change his strategy at all, knowing he's 1 match behind? He must win this to continue in the winner's bracket.
No, that is correct.
But
meanwhile, get out your LSD and disco balls because your screen is flashing from these lava hits.
And the reason they do this is because the lava is safe from random encounters. You won't get an encounter while you're walking on the lava, you just take a little bit of damage.
I would take 1 damage over not getting 1 step closer to a fight any day of the week, though.
Which is why you'll see this strategy employed here and in Ice Cave if our runners end up needing to go there.
The old hot foot. Or cold foot in Ice Cave, I guess.
Also, you usually have no more money troubles once you come out of the volcano, in between chests and in leveling up.
Pretty much, yep. Having already found the silver swords in the weapon shop, pretty much the only thing they're looking to buy is maybe more spells, or the gold bracelet, which is probably the best armor you can get, or the pro ring, which is purchasable and protects against the death element, I believe.
jkoper finds a big important item, the ribbon.
Yep. He's real happy to slap that on.
Speaking of spells, we didn't mention this when they picked it up, but the Zeus Gauntlet casts Slight 2 for free. There's the tail. jkoper's going to be very happy.
He breathes a sigh of relief on that one. Now his red mages can learn life, and he can make use of that excellent adamant and turn it into an Excalibur.
He'll equip the light axe as a weapon. It's also useful as an item for casting, I believe it's Harm 2 on undead creatures.
Correct. Yep. The light axe is it hits just about as hard as the ice sword. I believe it's 1 less, but it does have a lot less hit percentage than the ice sword does. But a much better crit rate with weapon fixes off. And we see Maya taking his lava bath here. At
Just
this
good
point,
old-fashioned firewalking like they do at the carnivals.
I have a feeling that they're not barefoot, though. And I don't think those are coals. I think that's MF and lava. I don't think, or I'm kind of hoping that the floater is not in Volcano, so we can see some real strategy consideration from these two runners. And Maya walking over the trap tile that I almost always walk over.
So we touched on this earlier, but they really have 2 options coming out of here, assuming they don't find the floater. One is to go up to the Ice Cave, which is the closer dungeon, but not incentivized in this round, which means it doesn't have any greater chance of having an important item like the floater. They could also go to Earth Cave, which has the advantage of being required anyways.
Yep. And honestly, Ice Cave without shuffled enemy spells and skills is just brutal. You've got Lit 3 casting mages, Frost Wolves casting an AoE spell, Trancing sorcerers. Blech. With no warp and no exit, I would not want to go there if I did not have to.
Yeah, you also usually would like to have warp for that because it puts a strategy on the table where you can check 3 treasure chests while avoiding 2 trap tiles. But they don't have access to that, so could influence your decision as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. It looks like we got the tail pickup for Maya there. That and the ribbon, so both great pickups for any runner. Ooh, the black shirt for jkoper. That does cast a free Ice 2 when you use it in battle.
And I think we'll see a few uses of that.
Oh yes. Especially given how stingy some of the spell levels were for items.
So now we'll see how much jkoper wants to do here because we haven't seen anything crazy out of the Agmas, so this would usually be the easiest grinding spot available, and he's going to walk right away from it. So, question answered. Well, yeah. Asterisks on that. He may go back because it does make sense to do the red dragon before you start the grind.
That is true, but knowing jkoper wouldn't surprise me if he decided to skip out on it. Oh, and meanwhile, Maya getting the business end of a cremate there. Luckily, his white mage is able to learn that life spell, so a little less crushing than it would have been for jkoper. And that's all thanks to his party composition choice from the very beginning of the game.
can change everything, as jkoper is going to get up to level 15 now.
Definitely a respectable level to be at before you fight Carrie.
By the way, for anyone who may be new to the randomizer and you decide you want to try out some of these strategies when you do your first playthrough, make sure you come into the volcano with 90 plus heals. 99 is preferred.
Oh, yes. Oh, jkoper just eating real high rolls on that blaze. Luckily, his red mages had high enough base health to eat even a high roll of it, but I mean, your advice is definitely on point because jkoper is down to his last batch of heal potions here.
And I think that kind of answers the question of whether or not he would go back after the grind, because if you're going to attempt to do a solo black belt strategy, you need a whole lot more heals than that. There's just not enough there.
Yeah, I don't think I would do it at this point, and I don't think jkoper is either. Question in chat here. Well, not really a question, just something I want to comment on. Someone stated that they would wait on a class change, or they wouldn't wait on the class change even with a black belt in their party. And I actually would agree with that. The benefits for jkoper of class changing early are access to life spells and being able to use the equipment he has, like Excalibur. I'd say that, to me, the benefit of having that earlier is probably worth sacrificing a few magic defense points that you lose from class changing the black belt earlier.
Yeah, and I don't think he put the ribbon on the black belt yet, but I imagine going into Temple of Fiends, that's where its home's going to be if he only has the one.
Yeah, although it might, keeping one ribbon on, oop, did I miss something? Oh, sorry, I heard a noise. Keeping the one ribbon on the person who can cast life is not a terrible idea, though.
Very good point.
Depends on how the seed goes out.
So we get our first look at Carrie, and it's a little bit slower than we've seen other fighters do this because he's a little bit lower level. But he's got his too, so he's stacking that up to try and mitigate the melee damage.
Yeah, 2 health left on his black belt there. Curious that jkoper is opting to cast fast instead of using those Ice 3 charges on his red mages. Oh, there goes his black belt.
And they can high-five each other. They're in the same fight.
Yeah, this is definitely a close race so far. That is for sure. Ooh, good hit on Carrie there, and Carrie does go down at the hands of jkoper and his dead corpse of a black belt.
So I'm pretty sure we'll see jkoper go straight back to Crescent Lake because he'll need to resupply if nothing else.
Well, and he needs somebody to cast a glorious life spell on his dead black belt for him.
Go visit the clinic / whatever they actually called it in Japan.
Yeah, the a USA version did change the graphic from a cross to a heart for the US version. Alright, Maya taking down Carrie too, so these runners are definitely very close here. It'll be real telling to see if one of them heads to Earth Cave, or if one of them heads to Ice Cave on a gamble. Oh yeah, I see some questions in chat about I kind of briefly ran through it, but the talk I had about the black belts magic defense. Black belts gain, I believe, 4 magic defense per level, but when they class upgrade, they're the only class that gets worse. The master gains 1 magic defense per level. So if you do it very early, you miss out on some free magic defense on your black belt. That was kind of the trade-off I was talking about for jkoper class changing early. He has access to all this great stuff, and all it costs him is losing access to that free magic defense on his black belt.
Maya gonna head back to the black magic shop and pick up a spell he couldn't afford before. And restock the supplies.
Yeah. And while we were talking about changes to the randomizer, this double screen highlight here is definitely one of my favorites. Buying 10 heal potions at a time. Praise the Lord.
Yes.
No more rubber band on your controller strats.
I can't even remember how long it took the first time I was buying 99 heals, but I remember I did it here at Crescent Lake.
Yeah, it's brutal. So yeah, the randomizer does add just life conveniences. You kind of forget about stuff like being able to rearrange your items in your item menu in later Final Fantasies, but a lot of that stuff was not present in the original. Let's see if Maya gets any paralysis touch peds here.
So we'll get a look here at what jkoper's strategy is, and as he continues to sail and sail and sail instead of going north, that seems to tip that the play is for Earth Cave.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably would have gone. He probably would have gone a different direction if he was going to Ordeals or Ice Cave. So, looks like we got an Earth Cave play out of jkoper. Don't blame him. You have to clear Earth Cave regardless. So, might as well do it while you have the ability to.
He will actually go to Titan's Cave first, which is going to have, I believe it's 4 treasure chests available to him. So, there is as much opportunity for something good to be there as anywhere else.
That is very true.
And to that end, if I found Floater in there in this seed, I would immediately go get the airship.
Oh yes, without without a question. There's a lot of free stuff you have access to once you have the airship, like all the free chests on the Cardi Islands, where Bahamut lives. Might as well pick them up.
So it looks like both of our runners are generally reacting to things the same way. We see them going in the same general directions.
Yeah, this has been a pretty tight seed so far. Anytime you have a potentially ruby required seed, the beginning of the run is going to look a little similar, unfortunately. And jkoper being nice, feeding the Titans crippling ruby addiction.
But he doesn't check the chests.
He skipped the chests. Did he forget?
Maybe he'll get him on the way back. He has to walk back through there anyways, but...
Yeah, exactly. jkoper is a seasoned runner of this game. I don't expect that he forgot.
But you just never know what goodies are in there. Masamune could be in there. You just all kinds of fun stuff that I want to know now. It's like Christmas. Open these things for me.
I can't wait till tomorrow morning, Ma. I want these chests. All right, thank you, Maya. Thank you for saying the treasure crack addict that I am.
Oh, I called it!
What is this? Oh my god. Alright.
Okay, so chat, where do you want me to call Floater to be at?
So since you have all the answers, I'm gonna need you to give me some Powerball numbers. That would be great. Alright, Maya immediately doing the the weapon shuffle there to get rid of his excess crap, because everything is garbage compared to the Masamune. Especially with vanilla weapon stats on. The Masamune is just unbeatable. It's got a ridiculous crit rate, the highest damage of any weapon, and a gigantic bonus to hit.
Now let's take a moment to note that both party compositions actually do favor getting both Excalibur and Masamune, because with the 2 fighters, you're obviously going to give one to each, and with the Red Mage fighter, you'll put Masamune on one of the Red Mages and use Excalibur on the fighter.
Yeah, and honestly, the way this seed has played out, with early life on a White Mage and early Excalibur and Tail and Masamune, Maya's party comp is looking real good right now because he can make full use of all these gifts that he has received from the randomizer.
And jkoper will now get the Masamune.
And I bet he was real happy to see that.
I gotta think it's even gotta feel nicer considering their levels, because in most of these seeds we've seen people come out of Volcano a little bit higher in level. So without the stats on the character, the stats on the weapon certainly are a nice bonus.
Ah, yes. And jkoper heading down to the Earth Cave, as one would expect. Now, it is possible, ladies and gentlemen, that the floater that gives the airship is not in here. It is a thing that could happen. jkoper dropping a quick save. And immediately punished by a 7-hit counter. Ooh, he's not checking the top or bottom of the Earth Cave. He's just going straight down to the second floor.
That is an interesting call.
I mean, with no access to warp or exits, they're definitely kind of a little out of the way. Maybe he's planning on checking them on the way out.
I guess see if what you want is in one of the deeper floors, and if it's not, then you come back and check these before you leave, because there's just no way you can skip them totally.
Meanwhile, Maya is just enjoying the glorious ambush rate of the shadow formation there.
So it could be one of those cases where we see a different strategy, and what if that floater's on first floor?
Yeah, it could be. All right. Well, once again, Maya is stating our need to know what exactly is in these chests, so he's helping us out.
Feeding our addiction for knowledge. He doesn't like what's in the first one, so he uses the reset strat to warp out.
Yeah, those are real soft treasure chests. Nothing? Okay, I didn't think so.
Nah. You gotta go a little bit more for that.
That joke got the laughter deserved. jkoper picking up ribbon number 2. Very welcome sights. And putting it on his red mages, not a terrible idea. His red mages have a lot of the offensive power right now with their spells.
Take as many ribbons as the game wants to give you.
Yeah.
I'd even figure out a way to put 4 of them in the randomizer. I think it'll be a parade.
Oh, there's our floater. Ooh,
well,
Maya
not first floor, but early.
Yeah, well, those are the chests that jkoper ran by.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was first floor.
Yeah. So,
I confused myself for a minute.
Is ichbinmiah going to? Is he just going to leave? He might.
Well, certainly to save, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, at the very least. But of course, he gets the encounter 1 tile away. Nope, he's just gonna dive back in. Yep. I don't really blame you. I mean, you're literally already here.
Yeah, and you have the Moss Immune, so it's not like going and getting Excalibur would make a huge difference for clearing out the dungeon any faster.
Oh no. The only thing I could think of is that if you wanted to, because you're gonna have to leave and go get the airship no matter what you do. So you could do that right away and then check all the free easy chests instead of spending time checking all these Earth Cave chests. That would be the only reason I could think of for doing that.
That'd be true. He'd still be needing Slab and Crown, so statistically I like this play better because you're probably not going to find both those in the free treasure chests.
Probably not. But they are faster to check than looking around. Earth Cave does have a lot of chests, but they're all kind of in disparate, separate locations. You know, you got 2 or 3 chests here or there, then a lot of walking in between them, so they're not the most efficient chests to check. You know, it's not like the Volcano treasure trove room or anything.
Ice Shield will add a little bit more defense.
This unrunnable wizard fight on jkoper's side made a lot less annoying with level 1 lit 3, that's for sure.
Both runners, in fact, in an unrunnable fight. You can't run from the earth elements as well. And those ogres, they're so angry. They always go around going grrr.
Oh, they were given the white mage the business end of their clubs there.
I thought of a bad joke, but I'm not going to go there.
That's probably for the best. Oh, free pro ring for jkoper. Can't argue with that.
So these chests, I would say, have been pretty kind to our runners early.
Yeah, I mean, with two ribbons, Mass Immune. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about what I've got so far on these guys. I think if they find the crown and the slab, which are the 2 items that they're looking for go mode, I would probably just finish up the bosses and beeline it to the end.
More wizards, because that's what every playthrough of Final Fantasy 1 needs, more wizards.
Yep. Wizards are relatively... I mean, they're not too crazy uncommon in Earth Cave. I think the 2 to 4 wizard pack is like a 50 out of 256 or 48 out of 256 chance, so not crazy. About a 1/5 chance.
P.S. This Earth Cave home to, in fact, the 3 nicest bats in the game because they sit up in their room and never bother you. Most players probably don't even realize they're there.
Yeah, it's like a bat cave with a door. I always enjoy this vampire because he gives this big epic speech, but when you come here in the randomizer, you're usually pretty well geared and you just destroy him. Yeah, that's right. Eat a Masamune. Take 500 hit points, soak damage, and die.
Yeah, not too much at this stage that's gonna be standing there happy and ready to throw a party after getting hit with the Masamune.
No. I mean, you're just tempting fate if you call yourself the immortal vampire and then a party of light warriors comes and knocks on your door.
You think they knocked?
I like to imagine the fighter just kicked the door open with a Masamune in his hands and just said, "It's party time." And the vampire
I was
got
wondering
all
where you were
excited.
going with that when you were talking about kicking the door open with the Masamune.
Well, I mean, I guess you could throw it through the door and then it would explode and then keep traveling because it's the Masamune and just hit the vampire right in the chest. But apparently I've been watching too much anime. Alright, using that rod that they made sure to remember to get from Sarda before they came in here.
Yeah, important stuff. Don't want to forget that.
I feel like every randomizer player when they first start playing this, at some point will forget a key sequence item, like they'll go to the top of Mirage and then have forgotten they got the cube, or they'll go to somewhere and forget to translate the slab, or go all the way to the 3rd floor of Earth Cave and forget that they need the rod.
I did have one occasion where I forgot to translate the slab, although I was so mad because I was positive that I did, and I think what actually happened is I died after the power gauntlet found here in the Earth Cave, so another good find.
Yeah, this seed is getting more free the more chests we open, but you can have the freest, most item-filled seed in the world, but you still gotta find all the required items to beat the game.
Yeah, and that's key. What we were talking about is they've seen a lot of the good support items. I mean, having 2 ribbons, you're always happy about that in Randomizer because it's not guaranteed that you'll even get 1. Usually 1's pretty safe, but 2, you're happy.
Oh yeah. And I think with Masamune and the Power Gauntlet, for those that don't know, you can use it in battle and it casts the Saber spell, which is fixed in this version of the Randomizer. Increases your attack by 16 and increases your hit rating as well. So I mean, you have 1 or 2 of those on your Masamune holder, and there isn't much that's going to stand up to him. At least not for very long, anyway.
Tiger Blue asks in chat thoughts on the 2 red mages versus using the black and white mage. And that's interesting because definitely from a magic perspective, Maya is going to see an advantage from a magic perspective of having access to more spells.
Yeah, that is true. We kind of touched on it a little bit in the beginning of this seed, but running 2 red mages, which is something I do a lot actually. jkoper runs the party I usually run with these flags in their tournament. But when you run 2 red mages instead of a more balanced party, you're definitely gambling, because a red mage can learn all the same black magic spells that a black mage can for the first 4 levels. Without exception, they can learn every single spell in the first 4 levels of black magic. And odds are pretty good you're going to find something in those levels that let you clear parties, Lit 3 or Ice 3 or Nuke or something real nice. And
There's
you
only
have
8 levels of magic, of course, so that means you've got a 50% chance of any spell. So nukes, there's a 50% chance it's going to be in the first 4 levels.
Correct, yeah. I mean, but there's so many damage spells. You've got Fire, Ice, and Lit 3 are all real great to have, and Nuke. Odds are pretty good, but not guaranteed that you're going to get something nice. And having a red mage also gives you access to some white magic as well.
And
So it's definitely a little more gambly.
Our first look at this Fiend of the Earth, the battle with Lich, and it looks like it'll take 2 rounds because he's going to use Fast and he's going to use the Power Gauntlet.
I'm surprised that he even Power Gauntleted. Yeah, I
He
didn't even
didn't
get a chance
get
to swing
hit
it.
with it.
Spent all that time.
I got this.
It was like an episode of Dragon Ball Z. Like they just sat there powering up and yelling, and then nothing actually happened. All right, jkoper wisely remembering to go back in and check these chests he skipped. I was hoping he didn't forget.
So he relit the orb first, restored the orb first, but we'll see if he's actually got any kind of lead on Maya after Maya finishes with Lich.
Yeah, Maya walking over the trap. That is one of 5 trap tiles I seem to walk over every time I play one of these. So, but yeah, once he kills Lich and walks out, we'll definitely see how close these runners are. And I have a feeling it's gonna be pretty close.
Yeah, I would guess under 90 seconds right now. I think jkoper is slightly ahead considering the walk.
Yeah, I don't think Lich is gonna put up much of a fight for these ribboned up Masamune holding light warriors.
And jkoper will be very happy to see the floater.
Yep. A lot more happy than a janitor is to find a floater, that's for sure. Nothing on that one either, Trin?
No.
I've been saving that one. Alright, so yep, jkoper is, they're about tied up on progress right now, minus the Lich fight. So this is definitely, and of course, he gets the shadow ambush fight. That's why you save the instant you leave any cave, kids. Because that happens if you don't.
So jkoper got out of Earth Cave at 101, pretty well even.
Yeah, with a real
down.
linear seed like this, it definitely comes down to execution.
And about 28 seconds later, I think it was for Maya. So
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
how tight
that's
we are
nothing.
right now.
That is nothing. That's a couple bad unrunnable fights. So it is anyone's game still.
So again, we're going to see a pretty automatic strategy here because both of them have to go get the airship now. There's really no question on that one. But then it'll be fascinating to see what dungeon they actually go to next, which might depend on what items they find in the treasure chests that they're going to go collect.
Yeah, once you get the once you get that airship, usually most runners will go to Cardia Islands or the Zardia Islands for their free chests, and then kind of go from there. Now they're still looking for the big items they're looking for right now are the crown, which leads to the key, which is required to beat the game. The slab, which leads to the chime, which is also required to beat the game. And the runners will have to find the bottle in one of the item shops in the remaining towns.
Yeah, and you never hear us panic out of that because it has to be in one of the item shops. So they've only got 3 left that they haven't seen yet. It has to be in one of them.
Yeah.
Because it could be in the Oasis.
That is definitely true. Although knowing my luck, the bottle will be in on-rack again, because that happens to me every game I watch or play in.
P.S. If the bottle is in the Oasis, I'm going and buying lottery tickets in the morning.
Yeah, you've called the Masamune. Calling the floater in Earth Cave was a pretty easy.
Or one of the Earth Cave.
Well, Masamune and Titan's Cave, you get points for that one. I'm giving you credit.
All right, so our first look at see what goodies the dragons are hoarding in their caves.
Yep, and meanwhile, jkoper is selling off some equipment. He's got enough money to buy several towns, and is going to see if the bottle is in the item shop in Gaia here.
We see the
And it
wizards.
is.
We see the wizard staff, which is not commonly used in these runs, but it'll cast Confuse on the enemy party.
Did jkoper leave without turning in the bottle? Nope, he remembered. He's turning around. Better to remember that now than to remember it when you're halfway on the way to Sea Shrine.
By the way, I will say this. I would have preferred class changing before coming here so that I could learn the magic if I wanted it.
Yeah, that's a good point. He has not turned in, neither runner has turned in the tail quite yet. Although I would imagine Maya probably will, since he's literally right here. Although these runners are probably so used to never finding the tail, it probably is a conscious thought to go class change that they'll have to remember.
Yeah, and this very true of the randomizer. You have to be prepared to complete a seed without ever finding the tail.
Gold bracelet for Maya, that's pretty good. I mean, you can buy them, but finding one does save you the time. Oh, and we get a high five here in the Cardia Islands cave.
Silver helmet, nothing to throw a party over.
Oh, I was trolled by that cabin again. Damn you, cabin. You're not a crown at all.
Can't even wear it on your head.
I mean, I guess if it was collapsible. Alright, we see Maya going for the class change here. No surprise at all. And since there's no exit or warp that I saw, it's going to be a long walk out. This walk is even more brutal in the vanilla version of the game.
Yeah, they've got the dash button, which is one of the conveniences the randomizer gives us, and you play the randomizer, you will fall in love with the conveniences. Oh, we did see Thor's hammer. I missed that the first time, but they did already have Zeus Gauntlet.
Yeah, and with Lit 3 at level 1, I mean, it's notable, it's not awful to have, but definitely less important than it would have been if you had found it earlier in the seed.
Very true. If you don't have one of those clear the room spells at level 1 or level 2, you're usually hoping you find one of those casting items early on that will help you clear groups.
Yep, and jkoper definitely going for the class upgrade as well here. Alright, we got Maya checking the Oasis, correctly remembering that you can land directly on it to check it. But we all know that the bottle is in Gaia, unfortunately.
Will he go to the waterfall while he's here?
Oh, he's not going to Gaia first to check. He's gambling that it's going to be in Onrak, and I think he'll be sad when he finds out it's not. jkoper could be gaining some time on him here.
Well, this also means, I would imagine, that he'll go to the waterfall after he finds the bottle's not in the item shop. But
yeah,
you'd hate to fly over there only to find out the bottle was back here, so it does make an amount of sense that he's checked 2 of the 3 locations it could have been, and just didn't come up that way this time.
Yep, but he will get to check the magic shops here since he has the original magic user classes, so they can now pretty much learn anything they find in any shop. Cure 4, not bad.
4?
At level 7, though, you're not going to get a whole lot of charges of that bad boy.
So I like the play of going to the waterfall now because you've got the treasure chests right there available for you, and who knows what good thing is available there. Plus you get the cube, which, if you get the slab, then that means you're going to be able to go to the Mirage Tower first.
Yeah, slab inside the waterfall cave would actually be real interesting. Because that would mean the key to everything Mirage and Tower and Floating Castle would be in the waterfall cave. Kind of interesting that Maya didn't consider going to Gaia first, not only for a bottle check, but just also to see if he could pick up any warp or exit spells. Because unless I'm mistaken, I certainly might have missed it. I don't think he has an exit or warp to get him out of this lame walk out of the waterfall cave.
No, I believe you're correct on that. But also, probably weighed in the balance was this would have been slightly closer to where he was from the islands than flying over.
That's definitely true, although the airship travel speed was one of the other things that was increased in speed with the speed hacks in this randomizer, so the fly time is usually pretty short. Speaking of fly time, are we going to see out of bounds bat here? Let's see if Maya is the crowd pleaser. Come on, out of bounds bat. No! Ooh, no out of bounds bat. I'm sad now.
Well, we're about an hour in, just over, so let's talk about how you'd be feeling at this point. You haven't gone back and seen anything that you should have gotten but didn't, so from that aspect you have to feel pretty good that your opponent probably doesn't have a big lead. Because it's not like the floater was over an ice cave and you did earth cave first or anything like that, so nothing major has popped up where you might feel behind.
Yeah, I mean the way the seed is played out, it's definitely pretty linear. So I mean it's come down to execution. Oh, there's life too. jkoper picking up, at least trying to pick it up. But yeah, the seed was definitely played out pretty linear, so it's been pretty execution based, which is why these runners have been so close for the first hour of it.
Which
So
is why I think we're both really excited at this point to see some divergent strategies.
Yeah, definitely. Be real telling to see where jkoper heads now. Nothing exciting in the waterfall cave except for the game winning required item of cube.
Well, having not found the crown and not found the slab, I think he's
picking up life.
Out what he has to do.
jkoper picking up life. Don't blame him at all for that. For those of you wondering, Wall would be a great spell to pick up, but the red wizard can't even learn Wall because it's in the second slot, which I believe is normally Harm.
Chat bringing up a good point that neither player has turned in the adamant yet, so that is another possible option before you go into the next dungeon.
Yeah, very true. Although jkoper cares a little less about the adamant than Maya does because he's got 2 fighters to equip. We're gonna have a high five in the river by Onrak here, it looks like. River high five. Slap. Good work, team.
Yeah, that was all wet.
Nothing like a moist, awkward high five just to get your day going.
That's true. Nothing quite like it.
Hey, I didn't say it was good or bad. I just said there's nothing like it. Alright, let's see if Maya finds exit or warp in these shops. That does elect to pick up anti-rub. It's not terrible. It does protect against the death element, I believe. See if he remembers the hidden magic shops. Nope, he did walk right by them.
Well, he's getting the bottle first.
True, there are a couple more shops to the east over there, but Maya either not remembering them or opting not to check them. It would be amusing if warp and exit were both in those shops.
I just think with class change, you'd have to go down there and look.
Yeah, I have a feeling he might have just forgotten.
Although with the levels that they have, they're not going to have many charges of anything, even by end game.
No, but even one charge of exit can be useful. Although having already walked out of the waterfall cave, that is probably the biggest time save of it.
There is fade and there is exit.
Yeah. Oof.
Did he skip on fade?
Yeah, he couldn't. He wasn't sure if he could afford warp or not. Because those were some max expensive level 8 spells.
Is he gonna go sell something, possibly? Or he's gonna save?
Just using the inn. Alright, so that is, my call was correct. It looked like there was exit and warp were both in the level 8 spells in Gaia. Which is actually to jkoper's benefit because they're so late with so few charges that odds and you know, like I said, they've already gone to Waterfall Cave, which is one of the biggest uses of warp or exit as far as time saves go. So the only way that this will end up helping ichbinmiah is if they end up having to go to Ice Cave and utilizing the warp to save some time.
Do you remember where or if we saw the gold bracers for sale?
I do, because it looks like ichbinmiah just bought them in Provoke. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't remember.
He was here. Another good idea if you're new to the randomizer is learn to open up a notepad and write certain things down that you want to know later.
Yeah, remembering the locations of spells you want to come back to, or like Maya has just done now, I'm coming back to pick up some gold bracers. because you don't want to do what I do and frantically fly around from town to town going, where was life? I can't remember. I'm so bad at this game. You don't want to be me.
Like at all, or just in that case?
just in general. That's an all-conclusive statement right there. ichbinmiah has spent his last turn.
Maya's gonna get himself an Excalibur sword.
Yep. Once he gets this sword, he will be crowned the King of England. Wait, that's the wrong lore.
It didn't come from the Lady in the Lake either.
Yeah, that's one ugly-looking bearded lady. Wait, don't dwarf ladies have beards? Maybe that's a female blacksmith. Why you gotta be dwarf racist? Or sexist? Actually, it's probably both.
But who said that the dwarf was a he? I just said it wasn't the Lady in the Lake.
That's true. Now I'm showing my dwarf racism.
I made no judgments.
Alright, so we've got both these guys heading toward the Sea Shrine. Don't blame them, because they can't even enter the Mirage Tower because they do not have the slab. So both these runners are going to be really hoping that slab is somewhere in Sea Shrine here. Or at least the crown, so they have some more chests they can look at.
I think at this point you're hoping that both of them are going to be here so that you're just in go mode.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the dream. But at the very least, basically you want to avoid having to go to Ordeals or Ice Cave if you can avoid it.
This is true.
Alright, we're going to see if Maya's going to do the top or bottom of Sea Shrine. It looks like the top.
It's one of those interesting strategy calls. It's faster to go to the top first, but you have to go to the bottom side first. So, knowing that it's required.
Maybe he is doing. Maybe he's just grabbing that chest.
Could be. Also, the one room in here is locked by the Mystic Key, and if I'm correct, that's going to the mermaid side?
Nope. Yes, excuse me. Yep, that is, it's kind of a C-shaped, or backward C-shaped, room kind of in the middle on the way to the top floor of the Sea Shrine.
Now, only one treasure chest in there, but if that's the one that happens to have slab...
If the slab is in there, that would be the ultimate troll seed. So I'm kind of hoping that's the case. Because then they would have to find the crown somewhere, search everywhere, probably including the bottom of Marsh Cave first, before they head back here to pick up potentially the slab. So that would be hilarious, and I fully support it.
So if that's what happens, whose fault is it? Because I suggested it and you're rooting for it.
I don't know who generated the seed. It was either Ice Blue or Sour, I'd have to look, but it would be their fault.
You're right.
I accept no responsibility for that one.
I concur.
Alright, jkoper checking the top of Sea Shrine first. So, finally we get a little bit of route divergence here. So we're gonna get to see a whole bunch of treasure chests all at once, and feed my crippling chest addiction. Oh, jkoper just getting hosed on these Sahag unrunnables. Luckily, he literally all 4 of his party members can cast an AoE lightning spell, so...
In one of those cases where I'd use an item if I had it open before I would attack with somebody who'd attack for more, but just make sure you get them all dead.
Yeah, in later rounds of the randomizer, that is one of the scariest unrunnable fights, because if those red Sahags roll up some scary ability like Nuke or Blaze or something, you can just get destroyed by that fight because there's 8 of them. Alright, I'm getting the slow trickle of the chest addiction right now. But it's going to come full force in the top Sea Shrine here. So jkoper is going to check all these chests, and once again try to get some phone numbers from these mermaids, but I don't think he's going to have any luck there. He did go into that one room that has just a mermaid, no chest, so all joking aside, maybe he was looking for phone numbers.
867-5309.
1-800-94-Jenny. I'm out of song and or jingle phone numbers. ichbinmiah, getting another one of the unrunnable fights in here, which is the ghost fight. Ghosts have a pretty large attack value. So if the randomizer decides to give them 120% attack, they can really hit quite hard. But luckily, White Wizard's got harm 4, so.
And the other big unrunnable encounter we haven't seen here yet is the water elementals. They'll not be able to run from.
No, waters are gross. And nothing at the top of the Sea Shrine for jkoper, which is unfortunate. And since nobody has warp or exit in his party, he's going to have to hoof it out of here. Oh, and by the way, you just conjured water up over on ichbinmiah's side, so good work there.
No, remember, that's Ice Blue's fault. We're not accepting responsibility for anything.
Ooh, third ribbon for Maya there.
Not an unwelcome sight anytime it happens.
Purity in chat typing 1-888 get slab. That is what they're both dialing right now. Although if you had to choose, Triton, right now, if you could only get one key item out of here and you're looking for Crown of Slab, what would you rather have right now, Crown or Slab?
Oh, I think I would rather have the slab. My reasoning being, then I know there's no chance I have to come back for that other treasure chest.
Ooh, that is a great point. Well done, sir. I was thinking Crown because it gives you access to more chests, but yeah, the mental knowledge of knowing that, okay, I'll never have to come back here is worth it.
Well, also, if you've got Crown and you're having to look through all the locked doors, you're going to have to fly all over the world, whereas they're pretty well condensed in Mirage Tower. And maybe not as much in the Sky Castle, but still, things are in a close proximity.
True. Although there are less chests available by just the slab alone, so the odds of you having to go to, like, for example, Ordeals or Ice Cave might be higher that way. Obviously, the best answer is I would rather have Slab and the Crown in a chest together on the second to last floor before Kraken.
You're saying both items in one chest, or
2 items, 1 chest.
okay?
I think I saw that movie on the internet.
By the way, thanks to Speed Gaming for hosting us tonight. I don't think we've done that yet, so as I quickly change topics.
Well, thanks for bailing me out there. Appreciate it. Yes, if this has been a pretty linear seed, and it's definitely still a close match, for sure. But if you're interested in checking out some Fantasy Randomizer action, definitely hit up our Discord. Pretty active community on there. We usually run races. There's at least one race firing every day, and usually more than that. So yeah, come on by, check it out. It's a lot of fun.
So back at the volcano, we talked about them not grinding for levels, and this is, I won't say the ideal scenario for not grinding for levels, but this is kind of what works best with it, in that you have to go to these extra places. Well, they haven't had to go anywhere extra yet, but they've had to take extra time in them by not having all the items, which has a natural result of giving you more levels.
Yeah, that is true. And I didn't mention it when it happened, but we did see the last batch of chests on Maya's side there. So we have now seen the top and bottom of Sea Shrine, and there was no slab, no crown. So we got ourselves an Ice Cave or Ordeals dive for both these 2 runners. What a brutal seed. Ruby locked. I guess the floater was not Ruby locked. I guess they could have gotten it before the Ruby, but a floater in Earth Cave is always rough.
Most runners are not going to go to Earth Cave if they don't have Ruby and don't have floater yet.
True. Most runners not named Czar will not go to the Earth Cave early. That's a man who loves his Earth Cave.
So pick your poison. Which one would you go to? Ordeals or Ice Cave?
Boy, if I am, strictly, like, if we're going strictly off of numbers, like the number of chests that you can get, Ice Cave does have the most chests. Ice Cave, I believe, has 16 chests, and Ordeals only has 9. But if I'm jkoper and I don't have warp or exit, I might be more inclined, especially in round 1. Round 1 seeds do not shuffle the teleport tiles in Ordeals, so it's a pretty quick check. So if I was jkoper, with how linear this seed has been, he might be willing to take a gamble to check Ordeals before going to Ice Cave. If I was Maya, I would probably I'd have to look at his Black Mage. I don't know if he has a charge of level 8 spells yet. If he did, I would definitely consider going to Ice Cave before Ordeals.
And that water just has to be obnoxious and get in your way right before you get to the orb.
Yeah, both of these runners have had just terrible luck with unrunnables in here. Just tons of ghosts, Sahag, and water fights. But Kraken was unleashed and taken out, so third orb lit.
How about it, chat? Make your pick. Will the runners go ice? Will they go ordeals?
There's compelling arguments for both. I mean, Maya has to check the top of Sea Shrine because he did skip that. So jkoper will have gotten a little time over him because the route he took was a little faster for clearing. I guess the Kraken was leashed would be the way to phrase that. Thanks for helping me out, chat.
Leash the Kraken. There you go.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of ordeals in chat, and I kind of agree with them. But
and I like that too, just because I know I can get through it faster.
Oh yeah, like especially if you know the vanilla order, which is pretty easy. If you have the choice, I always take the bottom one. If you know the vanilla order there, it's a pretty quick chest, or pretty quick check, but also a quick chest.
And even if you don't have warp or exit, ordeals still help by having the warp at the end of it. After the last chest, you just have to go through a zombie dragon, which isn't going to be that big of a deal at this point.
Well, I think at that point, if you check all those chests and you haven't found anything, you just reset and you don't even fight the zombie dragon.
I think.
But I'm as Ice Blue
levels.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
I think if I did in that position, I would fight the zombie dragon and take the levels.
Oh, fair enough. Well, if I had the item out of there and had to walk it out, I would fight him. But if you do your ordeals right, you'll save kind of at the crossways between when you would go to Ice Cave and when you would go to ordeals, and you just run your ship all the way up there, and then when you if you don't like what you get, you just reset warp back to Ice Cave. But not doing that lets you save scum over the overworld to skip fights. So
this is true.
This is definitely the boring half of the. This is the drop after the high of all the chest checking earlier. Now all these runners are checking chests we already know don't have anything. So I'm gonna need to get my crippling chest addiction fix once they get done with this.
I'm not sure any of us want to know how you do that.
I print off JPEGs of the icon of the chests, and I rip them up into small pieces and snort them on my desk. I'm not proud of it, but I got to get through the day. Your silence is just it's nothing but judgment. I can hear it.
I'm trying to think of what to say about the runners because we know they have to finish up here in the Sea Shrine before they can move on because you really don't want to have to double back. But we will take us a little while before we get to see what their next play is.
Yep, although I think jkoper's routing through the Sea Shrine, yes, to correctly get back on topic, is going to give him a little bit of speed advantage here, because Maya, which was a perfectly reasonable play, checked the bottom first because he had to do it anyway. And since nothing was there, he had to walk out and then walk back in again, so he did have a little bit less of an efficient Sea Shrine route than jkoper. And yeah, I just did double check their spell levels. Neither one of their mages has access to level 8 spells quite yet, so they won't be able to exit out of the top level of this shrine, so ichbinmiah will have to walk out unless he resets and doesn't want to keep anything, which is certainly possible.
So when you have the choice between, obviously in this case they didn't, but when you have the choice between going Sea Shrine first or Air Shrine first, which is your preference?
That's a good question. It kind of depends on how early I get the slab. If I get the slab before I have the floater and I'm kind of still running around translating the slab and looking for the bottle, I will often check the bottom floor of Mirage before I even have the cube. Just because there's so many chests that are relatively quick to check in the first 2 floors of Mirage Tower. So if I get an early slab, like before I even find the floater, I will often make that play, and then just come back to Sky Castle later once I've been to on-rack area.
Well, here we are at an hour 30 in, and time-wise, it has to be kind of grating on you a little bit that you're not even in the 4th dungeon yet at an hour and a half in. But at the same time, you really haven't made a wrong call here. The only way that you're probably feeling maybe behind is if you think the other guy went to Ice Cave when he was over at Volcano.
Yeah, I mean, if I were these runners, did Maya miss the top chest on the right side of the Mermaid Shrine? Maybe I'm crazy. Yeah, I mean, having now seen all these chests between Maya and Koper, I can see, yeah, he went backward. I can see, they're like, ah, shit, they're not in here. I've checked all the logical, easy places. They're probably wondering, oh god, I hope somebody didn't go to Ice Cave or Ordeals and is just, in Temple of Fiends right now. I think Maya is considering discovering that he can't exit or warp out. Looks like he's gonna walk it out. Looks like he wanted to keep the items he found here.
That's where the 3rd ribbon was, wasn't it? Or was that on the lower side?
I believe that was on the lower side, but don't quote me on that. Someone help me out, chat. jkoper did clear the upper shrine before he went downstairs. Question in chat there.
So for those not familiar, there is one treasure chest that neither runner checked, and that's because they're not able to. It's locked by the Mystic Key. So they may not be done here.
God, that would be the ultimate. These two got a troll seed last time they played, where there were all 3 ribbons and the Masked Moon were in Mirage Tower that they went to in go mode.
And didn't each of them check a different floor?
You're thinking Edgeworth and I believe Heretic Ramza were playing the same seed. Yeah, they both each found the one pile of deliciousness or the other, and I think Maya and Koper both ran past them. And I wouldn't blame them, they were in go mode at that point. But jkoper definitely with a small lead here, having already being in Ice Cave, so it'll be real interesting to see where Maya goes, whether he goes to Ordeals or Ice Cave.
And could make all the difference which choice you make.
But with no access to warp or exit, jkoper is going to have to do the vanilla way of clearing this.
And we are seeing our first major route diversion. Maya's going to go to the Castle of Ordeals.
He is. Crazy. Alright, so this is where heroes are made, kids. Depending on who finds what where. Although, what would be really funny is if the crown was in one and the slab was in the other. But that would be depressing.
I think if that happened, that would be advantage to the one who finds the slab.
Yeah, because you're going to spend a lot of time looking in the crown chests. You are correct, Trenton. So we're getting our first glance at the Ice Cave chests here. Nothing too exciting so far. Ice Cave is a little scary with vanilla spells, but with all the equipment these runners have, I don't think either one of them's too worried. Don't save. Don't save, Maya. Just go in. That way you can reset out if you don't like it. Ah, he saved. All right.
He will save.
He might be worried about the soft lock, which is definitely a thing.
Well, round one you shouldn't have a concern, but
yeah, you're right.
Let's elaborate on that because it could happen in the later rounds.
Yes, so in this version of the randomizer, the Ordeals teleporting pillars are just like they are in vanilla. But later versions of the randomizer, they are shuffled, so each pillar will take you to a completely random place, so you kind of have to map out either in your head or elsewhere where the teleporters take you. And if you are like me and you go... Oh, yep, first chest for jkoper.
He found the heal staff.
Not too exciting. But yes, basically the short version of it is that if you take too many of the wrong teleporters, you can overflow the game's ability to track how many times you've warped, and you can soft lock yourself. But that ain't happening in this version. Because I got confused.
We saw Maya walk past the chest that in vanilla has the Zeus gauntlet, so you're wondering why he did that. That chest is mirrored, so he's going to be able to get the contents in another place alongside the other treasure chests without taking extra steps or an extra fight.
Alright, my chest addiction is being fed. Maya's gotta hope he finds something in these next few chests here.
He's got 5 left in ordeals.
He gets the trance sorcerer fight. Gross.
There's the slab. jkoper just found it in Ice Cave.
Oh, he's not even gonna drop down the hole. Oh god, you better hope the crown isn't in the eye guarded chest. I mean, I don't blame him for taking the risk, but that is a risk.
It's one treasure chest, but what if it's the treasure chest?
Oh, that's gonna be in the back of his mind while he checks all the chests in Sky Castle and Mirage Tower. Oh, and that did not pay off for Maya, unfortunately. So he wasted some time in ordeals.
And he incidentally liked my strategy that he couldn't hear of going ahead and killing the zombie dragons.
Yeah, I mean, you're already here. You don't have exit. He did save right outside the castle, so there's no reason to teleport save out.
Yeah, had he saved elsewhere, then I'd agree with your strategy of take the reset, save the steps, but here, get the levels.
Oh yeah. Now jkoper was arguably, oh, there's Tyro. jkoper taking the reset. That's the same thing as not fighting him, in my book.
Well, it's ultimately whether or not you killed the Tyro.
Exactly. But jkoper was already just a little bit ahead of Maya here, but this reasonable but ultimately not paying off ordeals gambit did definitely put Maya behind.
So we had a question in chat if this means that the crown must be in the chest guarded by the eye. That's a great question because one of the flags in the randomizer is incentivize locations such as ordeals and Ice Cave. If they are incentivized, that means there will be a major item in one of those chests. In this round, neither of those locations are incentivized, so there's no guarantee. However, under Murphy's Law, of course, that's the crown.
The reason that that's an option is because in the earlier flags of this tournament here, Ice Cave and Ordeals there's really no reason to go to them, just because they're not required. So if you make them incentivized, it does kind of create a little bit more strategy. It's not a required place, but I know it has at least one incentivized item. And incentivized items, for those wondering, are all the key items, so like ruby, adamants, floater, slab, crown, whatever. And also the Masamune and the 3 ribbons, I believe, are in that pool as well. So if you go to incentivized chest, you're always going to find something. But it could be the ruby or a ribbon or the adamant or something that you might not necessarily, consider worth the time.
Okay, we've been asked in chat which chests Maya has checked yet. And here's the short answer. If it isn't locked by the Mystic Key, only the Ice Cave that he has access to. Now, of course, he does not have access to Mirage Tower yet either. So
He will shortly.
Those are our possibilities as they stand. jkoper found the slab, so he will be looking for crown and hoping it's early on in Mirage Tower.
Yep, dropping a save. And just out of habit, jkoper, oh no, he's healing up. Every once in a while you'll see experienced vanilla runners saving after they use a house just out of habit. But we're still looking for the crown, so let's see. jkoper is just hoping to God it's not in that one chest in Ice Cave he skipped. Probably isn't, but it could be.
Yeah, and you can't fault him for not going back once he did that. He's just got to stick with this now.
That was the smart play. But it was a gamble. You know, if he's got bad luck, it could be there.
I'm
Nothing
betting
exciting.
that's one of those things he didn't realize it when he did it, but probably hit you almost as soon as you had gotten it.
Oh yeah, well I mean he did. I think he did linger for about a second or two above the hole that you would drop down to check the eye chest, and then probably wisely decided to back out of it. Question in chat: what do you need the crown for? If you'll remember from the vanilla game, the crown is part of the Astos Matoya Elfland kind of key chain chest or key chain quest. So the crown gets turned into Astos, who's really the Lonely King in disguise. He gives you the crystal, which you bring to Matoya, that gives you the herb, which you bring to Elfland to turn it in for the key. And you need the key in the Temple of Fiends Revisited, the last dungeon in the game, because there is one key locked door that you have to walk through to beat the game.
Kind of interesting to see some of the programming decisions that they made like that, which I can think the only reason they did that was because they knew sequence breaks were a thing in video games, and they did that as kind of protection against somebody doing something crazy. And when you see how much crazy things we do in video games, you know somebody would have found a way.
Yeah, I believe the Japanese version, there's a crazy way to do some weird staircase thing and fight Chaos early and make him run for you or something. I don't know too much about it, but the this randomizer is based off the American version, obviously, so that's patched out. Cerberus, definitely annoying in the vanilla enemy spells and skills because they just keep casting Scorch, which with all the ribbons these runners have doesn't do too much damage, but it definitely wastes a lot of time. And Cerberus and any combination of Wiz Ogres together are an unrunnable fight. It's only when they're separate that you are able to run from them.
Also, the combination of Frost Giants and Frost Wolves are unrunnable.
That is correct. And Frost Giants actually only show up with Frost Wolves, so if you ever see a Frost Giant, it's unrunnable, but Frost Wolves can show up by themselves, which is what Maya's got over here. Opal Bracelet was in the second floor Mirage Tower for jkoper.
Not a bad find, but also not what he's hoping for.
Yeah, not a crown. You can't put that on your head and declare yourself a king.
Actually, I think by definition you could do that, but you'd also be headed for the loony bin shortly thereafter.
That's probably true. You'd be the king of the best armor in the game that you can put on a mage.
Which also wouldn't do you a lot of good at that point.
Alright, so slab for Maya here. Now let's see if he drops in that hole. I don't think he will, but he might. He does. Alright, we get to see. We're going to fight the eye, and we're going to see what was in that chest. If this is the crown, Maya will have had a crazy come from behind here.
And I guess to make the case for Koper to not check the wrong treasure chest.
Oh, it was a short
sword.
That might have been Maya's last hope. Assuming that there's no wipes in Temple of Fiends, but with how much equipment these runners have, I don't think that's going to be the case. Man, that would have been crazy if it had been the case, though. Those are the kind of smart gambles you make when you play these randomizers a lot.
Whatever strategy you take, you want to make sure it puts you in a position that you can win / get lucky. And if one of those two items had been in Castle Ordeals, we'd be sitting here talking about how well it had paid off for Maya, how that decision had really worked out. But in this case, it just went the other way. So you took a gamble. It was a reasonable gamble to take.
Oh yeah, it definitely was. In fact, I don't fault either of these runners for either of the routing choices that they have made. I mean, the first half of the seed was definitely pretty linear. And the choice to go to Ice Cave versus Ordeals, it's pretty much a coin flip, really. Not quite 50-50, but pretty darn close. jkoper checking Sky Castle. He used the cube to teleport up. Now he's going to check out the chests in here. Meanwhile, Maya is going to go learn the language of the Toga Party people. From Dr. What's his name? Une? Ani?
I believe it's Un.
I'm going to call him Ani, because I know it bothers at least one of the people in the Discord.
Fair enough. So Koper has to keep checking every single one of these treasure chests until he finds that crown. And he's still hoping, by the way, that it's not back in that one treasure chest in Ice Cave, because he doesn't know that yet.
God, I was cabin trolled again. Tyro! Good work, Maya. More Tyros! Oh, see, Maya, I'm a true man of the people. Keeping those Tyros alive. Not making stakes like some of the heathens and naysayers.
And carnivores.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of ways that Maya could come back. I mean, definitely Temple of Fiend's wipe is possible. Ooh, a white shirt. Is jkoper? jkoper saying white shirt is for losers and decides to leave it behind.
Well, I think he's got it on both of his red mages, so I guess he figures 2 around is enough.
Yeah, I'd still consider throwing it on my black belt, though. But definitely not necessary. One of the things I like to do in Sky Castle is the floor that jkoper is on right now. There's a lot of chests in the 6 corners. It's a long walk to check all of them. It's a huge pain in the butt. So a lot of times what I like to do is I will run to the next floor up first and check those chests because they are much faster. And then if I don't find the last item I'm looking for, I will come back to this floor and check these.
Maya's gonna get the chime.
And walks out of Toga Party Land the slightly slow way, but that's alright.
Yeah. Also didn't check the level 8 shops. But I don't think there's anything left we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, he's already got Exit and Warp in those slots. And I think Nuke and or Fade was in one of... No, I think it was Fade that was level 8. White Magic.
Yeah, Nuke I think was level 6.
Yeah, I think you're correct. Tyro! Wow, Tyro giving Pow the business there. It's alright, he's just misunderstood. He's lashing out at an angry world that has rejected him. Still no crown for jkoper. Does find the Aegis though, which is a pretty nice find for a warrior. Or rather, a knight.
And Maya gonna get his first look at these early treasure chests. Still no crown for jkoper. Do you think it's weighing on him with each of these that he checks that he left that one treasure chest behind? Or does he still think...
statistically, the more chests he checks that he doesn't find crown, the better odds that it was in that one chest. I mean, we know it wasn't there, but it's got to be eating away in the back of his head, that's for sure.
But still, can't change your strategy one bit.
Oh yeah, he is 100% committed right now. In fact, if I'm jkoper, I'm worried about he doesn't know that he's ahead, and with how linear this seed is and how kind of execution and little things, you know, that you can do that save you time, he's probably worried that Maya is very close behind him, and he is. I mean, they're both in the same dungeon right now.
In chat, AA, you're correct, and I agree with you that jkoper wouldn't go back to Ice Cave unless and until he checked every other chest. The thing of it is, after this, there is no other chest. Everything else would be key locked. So if the crown wasn't in Sky Castle, which we now know it is, it would have to be in that one treasure chest, was the point I was making. So jkoper doesn't know that yet.
Yep, that lame room in Sky Castle not being worth the trouble to check, unfortunately. But so we basically know that crown is on this floor of Sky Castle.
And if this had been earlier on, maybe jkoper could have built out a little more of a lead in go mode, but this is probably not going to be a substantial lead even coming out of here.
I mean, it will definitely be a lead, but yeah, you're right. I mean, one wipe in Temple of Fiends is the difference between these two runners right now, I would estimate.
And just to cover the point once more, yes, they do need to find the crown because they have to get the Mystic Key. So they will have to complete that chain to be able to complete the game. So that is why he is still looking through every treasure chest.
Yep, you gots to have it.
Finds the
Vorpal, not a bad grab, but oh,
There
there's
it
the
is.
crown.
That was not a cabin. That really is the crown.
We don't have jkoper's sound, but I imagine the sound fanfare in my head. And that was literally the last place minus the 4 chests on the left side over here of this floor that it could have been. So jkoper running that 100% clear seed. The only way Maya could make up time right now is if he does what I mentioned, where he skips that kind of lame spread out middle floor of Sky and checks the upstairs first. He could recover a minute or two there, but yeah, jkoper is done checking chests. He is on a beeline to go punch Tiamat 1 and then go to the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Also, Chad, I always like to ask you, place your bets. Will we see a Warmech? He's about to that stage of the game between both of these runners. Are we gonna see a Warmech?
I hear if you type Warmech plus RNG in the chat, it increases the odds of Warmech showing up. I think I read that in the documentation of the randomizer somewhere. Alright, here we go. It's a pretty rare fight. Oh, jkoper just cruising past this bridge. What?
Well, this is one fight you don't want to
for
see.
speeding. Yeah, this is. You are right. This is probably the second worst fight on here. All these transcasting sorcerers.
You know what? Honestly, give me a Warmech over them. Oh, that's the worst result.
Oh, this is terrible. Oh, if jkoper gets screwed here, this could be Maya's chance to pick up some time. So those that aren't aware, this stun attack does go through ribbons. So and at the end of every turn, each person that is stunned has a 25% chance of recovering from it.
So if it's one of your red mages, are you running or are you casting a nuke or some other AoE and hoping it gets you out of this?
If I had nuke, I would definitely cast nuke instead of running. But lit is yeah, you run with your black belt for sure. Oh man, he needs the hero run. Yeah, they're real lucky that none of these guys had the death attack. Oh, he dodged 2 of them. Can you make it 3? Oh no! Oh Jesus!
This is where you are really glad Skill Shuffle is on. This could definitely wipe you.
jkoper has just got to be banging his head on the on the table right now.
And here's the other question. Do you consider the reset now that you know where Crown is? You wouldn't have to check everything. You could get through this pretty quick.
Yeah, you know, that's a really good point. But, I mean, all it takes is one guy at the end of the turn to get out of here, and then a lucky run, and you have saved yourself, you know, 3-4 minutes of walking. Oh, jeez. Oh, no! Oh, God!
That reset has to look tempting. I don't care who you are.
I mean, one of them
It
ran
has
away,
to tempt
so...
you.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be tempting. This is just brutal. Like, every minute that he sits here getting trans-screwed is just rage-inducing. Oh my god.
Other runners might pull up MS Paint at this point.
Yeah, I hear one of the tournament admins likes to, you know, use MS Paint strats. Unfortunately, Maya did not do. I've been too busy staring at jkoper's ridiculously bad string of luck over here, and Maya did not go to the top floor of Sky Castle for the item check, so he is gaining ground on jkoper right now, but not enough.
Well, I asked what you would do, but jkoper opts to try the run strategy with the red mage.
The other one attacks. The other one ran. Oh, he
got
made
away.
It. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Did anyone time how long that fight took? Because I would really like to know the answer to that question.
Yeah, help us out, Chad. I was too busy enjoying the spectacle, but I mean that had to have been a solid minute, if not 2.
Look how low he is on heals now.
Oh, I mean
His bridge is not done. He could get another one of those.
Oh man, we have to remember to ask him about that
Oh my.
at the end of the race interview.
Oh, your heart had to stop for a moment there.
Man, that was worse than like 2 war mechs. That was just brutal. I would rather take a nuclear to the face twice than have to deal with that. And no, that's not a euphemism. Alright, so we're seeing Tiamat on jkoper's side here.
So without question, that made up time for Maya. Assuming Maya doesn't face the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, he could have the same string of bad luck. Thank you, chat. Chat helped me out. Roughly 3 minutes 30 seconds fight time.
Wow.
So, I mean, Maya was definitely not the difference from an Ordeals check. Ordeals was probably a good 7-8 minutes plus, but that did put a solid dent in the difference there. Team at 1 going down.
And if they're within 3 minutes now, which at 1:55:26 he's going to restore the orb. So we'll see how close that is for Maya. But you make up a bunch of gap here, and then all of a sudden the Unrunnables and Temple of Fiends Revisited could be neck and neck.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that jkoper still has a lead for sure. But that ridiculous sorcerer fight did give Maya the window. I mean, all it's going to take is bad RNG in Temple of Fiends Revisited, and it's anyone's game.
And obviously they won't go straight to the temple because they still have to do the Mystic Key quest, which is always better with Airship.
Maya, unfortunately, picking the very last chest cluster in the game available to him to find the crown. Literally the last place he could check.
And in his case, he knows it has to be there because he did check that one in Ice Cave.
Yep. And he went to Ordeals. If I'm Maya, I'm at this point, I'm like, okay, it has to be here, or I walked past the chest and made a huge error. So he's probably sweating bullets right now, hoping that the crown is here.
Which again, if you're new to the randomizer, you better make sure you route these things out in your mind or with the map to make sure you don't overlook anything.
And it was literally the last possible chest it could have been for ichbinmiah. So he's probably like, thank God. But he's got to be feeling behind at this point.
You got to imagine, because he did the 2 optional dungeons and he found out. Well, he knew Ice Cave was required, but he knows he did Ordeal and it was not required. And that's got to be where the question in his mind is.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing any power leveling or anything like that out of either of these runners. I think we're going to see jkoper's doing the kind of the crown cleanup right now, getting the key, going to stock up on heal potions, and is going to just... Oh no, look at Maya's screen. Oh no.
He will cast a spell, though.
Oh, he got a nuke!
The nuke off.
How much health did they roll? Not enough. Wow. All right, Maya is getting about 3 minutes and 30 seconds of time back here.
Well, let's not take anything for granted yet. He's still got the rest of this bridge to go.
That's true. Maybe instead of War Mech bless RNG, we need to say Sorcerer bless RNG. God, he's still got the whole rest of this bridge to go too.
It's got to feel like a really long walk at this stage.
Yeah, for those that don't know, this screen with this bridge on it has the highest encounter rate in the game. You're most likely to get a fight on this bridge than you are, like, per movement of square than anywhere else in the game. So definitely plenty of time. Wow, and he gets through. So yeah, that's a good 3 minutes plus gained on jkoper there. Though he does erroneously check the squares around the crystal instead of the crystal itself. He's just so excited he didn't get Warmech.
So jkoper has entered the Temple of Fiends. Is he doing RNG manipulation? I think he is.
I think he might be. Did spend a lot of time menuing though before setting up this RNG. For those wondering, this first round of the tournament does use the same encounter rate table as the vanilla game. So any RNG manipulation strats are definitely allowed.
And short of a gatekeeper, that makes jkoper's lead pretty commanding.
Pretty much, yeah, unless we've got a real high roll Tiamat, or if the RNG manipulation is done improperly, and it doesn't look like it has been. jkoper definitely looking pretty good right now.
And just to finish the thought, the reason we say that is because the best case for Maya is to do the exact same thing and get the same encounter rate, so you can't make any time up doing the same thing.
Alright, so we see, turns out that the Lonely King of the Northwest Castle wasn't Lonely King after all, it was really Astos.
Dun
Didn't see that
dun
one.
dun!
Someone needs to write a novel about this stuff. So yeah, jkoper definitely baiting out these fights here. And the reason they do RNG manipulation, for those that might not be familiar, is there's a lot of encounters on this floor that are unrunnable and scary, like the gas dragons that cast poison are particularly what you're trying to avoid.
Yeah, I still haven't learned RNG manipulation, but frankly, just knowing the possibility of skipping gas dragons is on the table makes me want to.
Oh yeah, I mean it will only be valuable for the first round of this tournament, but it's still, I don't blame any runners for utilizing all the tools available to them. But yeah, with the equipment that these runners have, jkoper definitely looking like the favorite here, especially seeing that RNG setup.
And Maya will get the Mystic Key.
And jkoper on an unrunnable worm fight. Someone in chat's asking how does the RNG stuff work? Well, there's a lot of RNG stuff, but I assume you're talking about the encounter manipulation. This game does have a table of numbers that it uses to kind of progress to the next number to determine whether or not you get a fight or not, is kind of the simplest way to say it. And every time you power cycle, like you actually hard shut off the power on either your emulator or your console, it starts that table of numbers starts off in the same spot. So since you have a fixed point, you can manipulate your fights to kind of set up a good sequence of fights that you can run from, which is what jkoper did. You'll notice that at the beginning of Temple of Fiends, he didn't actually dive right in. He ran around fishing and baiting out fights on that table. And then once he got to the point he wanted, that's when he went into the Temple of Fiends. And you'll notice it worked. He didn't get any poison dragon fights on that floor that have them.
Here comes the nuke from Lich.
And it's a tasty nuke. Actually, not super high rolls, actually.
And it's basically, as long as you get through it alive, you're not worried how much damage you take.
Nope. No, I didn't look before the fight. Ooh, are we seeing manipulation from Maya? These guys aren't messing around.
You know,
the other red mages did not have... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The other thing I think is worthy of a little bit of note is I think we've only seen one first-round matchup actually start 1-1. So if that were to be what happened here, it would only be the second time so far in the tournament.
Yeah, there's been a lot of 2-0s. I think the Tsar Azrael match that happened earlier tonight ended up with a 1-1. Me and Show are at 1-1, and if jkoper wins here, these two will be at 1-1.
Which is just really, in all those cases, a testament to how competitive the racers are, that nobody's been able to get out to a clear advantage.
Yep. But it was worth noting that one of the few places that Koper's run could have failed was if both his red mages had taken a max roll nuke. Nuke can go all the way up to 400 damage. He could have lost both of his red mages there, and that would have been both unlucky and potentially run ruining. He probably still would have continued on with his super buff black belt and knight, but it would have been a little scarier.
So big thing we're looking for now is what we're going to see out of the Fiends. If we see a big Kraken or a big Tiamat, it could really change everything.
Yeah, even at 120%, I'm a little worried that it might not be enough. For one of the upsides of having checked so many chests is that both of these players are super geared out. I mean, we've got Mass Noons, Excaliburs, Ribbons, Power Gauntlets. Although Tiamat's Bane could go through some ribbons and start murdering some people, that would be hilarious. That happened to Edgeworth.
Happened to me, I think, the next day. Wasn't in a tournament match, so not quite as painful, but not a pleasant experience.
Yep. Oh, Purity in chat reminded me that jkoper had his knight learn life, which would have saved him from the Lich nuke, because his knight would have been able to revive his road mages. So
don't undervalue those simple little white magic spells that the knight can learn.
Oh yes. I have been saved by life magic in the randomizer on my knight many times.
And in Sunseeds, it'll be Life 2 and or Cure 4.
Both runners have to be staring at the IRC right now, waiting for their opponent to dot done. Because this has been a linear seed.
I mean, at this point, I think you gotta be head down, ignore the world, and just hope that something went right for you that didn't for your opponent. Although in Maya's case, I don't know what that could be, other than maybe you're hoping he had to double back and do something that you didn't.
Ooh, Kraken first turn killing one of the red mages. Ooh, big hit from the Massman Warrior though. Ooh, Kraken showing no mercy here. And if he had killed 2 of the 3 life casters and act early enough on the 3rd turn, he might have been able to... Oh no!
Was that a pure damage hit from Kraken?
Yeah, that was 2 pure attacks. Oh. I'm telling you, Kraken 2 is the secret boss of this randomizer. He hits like a cargo
honestly,
truck filled with other cargo trucks.
If he had come in here in the low 20s, that could have been a completely different result.
Oh yeah. Now, I mean, obviously, Life 2 on these red mages making this a little less of a scary thing, but, you know, if Kraken could have first turn killed both red mage and then second turn red mage and just start beating on the fighter, he might not have been able to kill him before he got enough crits. I mean, it's possible.
Maya's gonna get Lich down.
Yep, not as big a nuke problem as the one jkoper ate.
And here comes Tiamat.
Alright, let's see if we see any Bane dodge shenanigans here. Nope, the ribbons and other defenses functioning as they should. You have a very small chance of spells going through resistances. It's like 3 out of 256 or 2 whatever. It's very small, but it can happen. And it happened to Edgeworth in a race several days ago.
And when you're counting on that person for damage dealing, that can be tough. So Tiamat goes down at the 208 mark.
Alright, no more random encounters for jkoper.
Just one thing stands between him and the dot done. And he'll change up his party formation.
Well, his bottom 2 guys are gonna carry the fights, so might as well decrease the odds. Because the only way he loses this is if Chaos, like, has a ridiculous hit on one of his damage dealers. So this is not a bad idea. I wonder if he's gonna move that Power Glove anywhere.
And as we're sitting here at under 210 going into this fight, I have to say, I think for the seed we have seen, these are very impressive times.
Oh yeah, for how linear the first half of the seed was, yeah, I'd say anything under 2 hours 15 minutes is impressive time for this seed.
So Carrie goes down over on Maya's side.
And jkoper eating Ice 3 from Chaos there, but thanks to those ribbons and shields, not as much of a concern. Ooh, big hit on Chaos there. 2 big hits on Chaos.
About 800 damage between the two. jkoper.
Chaos has about 2,000 health, so he could have 120% of his health. That's about 2.4k. But it could also go lower too.
There it is.
Oh,
GG.
to jkoper.
What a race. An official SRL time of 2:09:52.
Yep, good work to jkoper.
And for Maya, you're going into this fight against Kraken. If you've even seen that yet, you're thinking, oh, it's that close.
Well, I mean, Maya will have the same problems that jkoper could have had with massive... Oh, getting the fog too offers some defense. So we got ourselves a round 3 here, because that is it brings us to 1-1 between these two runners.
It just would be hard to imagine we could have seen a closer matchup between them tonight.
No, and in the end, it really came down to like if Maya had gone to Ice Cave instead of Ordeals, and jkoper got held up on that bridge with those, for 3.5 minutes with those trancing sorcerers. I mean, that could have been the difference. I mean, that's how close these runners were. It was just that one route deviation at the end that really made the difference.
Chitin wondering in chat who's going to be his opponent in the next round.
Yeah, it's a good question. We'll have to stay tuned. Find out next time on Dragon Ball Final Fantasy Randomizer Z.
I was trying to think if I wanted to go somewhere with that, but nothing comes to mind.
Gotta collect all the Dragon Balls, make a wish.
Maya's wish is that Crown had been earlier.
Yeah, Maya's wish would have been that Crown would have been in the eye guarded chest, because that was probably the only way he could have gotten a victory out of this one.
Or Ordeals.
Yeah, or Ordeals, yep. No, well played to both runners here. Game 3 is not tonight, question in chat. They will be scheduling that probably later this week, would be my guess. But we definitely got more. You'll have to check out the Feasel Speed Gaming schedule for more Final Fantasy Randomizer and other great content. There's Super Metroid Randomizers and Castlevania 4 tournaments going on, so there's lots of great content on this and the other Speed Gaming channel.
Also, if you could hit us up with the Discord link so that anyone who has seen this tonight and is interested, come join us in the Discord. We'll get you set up with everything. Just brand new feature on the Discord today. They have set up a new room that's called New Player Help, just to put everything in one place for you to help out getting started.
Alright, so now we see Maya here on his Chaos fight. And the Black Mage taking a pretty big hit there. Does get his fast off before he dies though, so he did his job.
So with the power gauntlet used as well, we may see this go pretty quick.
Rip Foom. He took a Chaos Slap and Ice to the face. But he got one fast off, so he did his job. Ooh, big hit on Chaos there, almost 600 from that Mass Moon power there.
And
ooh,
a big
700.
hit.
Yeah, we know Chaos has a little bit less health than normal, so it wouldn't surprise me if he died either on this next hit or the one right after.
He's gonna squeeze an extra turn out of this.
Yeah. Crack not breaking any defenses either with all the ribbons these runners have.
And
Hey,
there it
there we
is. The time loop is broken once again, but about 5 minutes slower at an SRL time of 2 hours, 14 minutes, 13 seconds for Maya.
Yeah, that's a pretty good GG for Maya there. Just a bad ordeals gamble away from victory there.
So we do hope to have the runners come in and join us and get some thoughts with them after this.
Yeah, if you want to vamp for a little bit, I'll see if I can't get these guys in here.
Sure thing. So let's cover some of what we saw here that built into this. Our runners were missing the slab and the crown until late in the game. They found the slab in the water shrine, which is what unlocked being able to go to the Mirage Tower. And in the Mirage Tower, at the very last possible treasure chest for Maya, is where he found the crown. Once they did that, both runners were in go mode after having opened almost every possible treasure chest in the game to that point. Everything except those locked by the Mystic Key. Obviously, there was no reason to go and check those at that point. And people disputing what names to call the elemental dungeons, but hey, call them whatever you want. Just don't call them late for dinner.
All right, so jkoper taking a quick post-race AFK, but I think we're going to be getting ichbinmiah in here pretty soon for some post-race interview. And I heard the ping bong in chat, so Maya, GG on second place there. That was a very tight seed that you played. Oop, can't hear you, buddy. But yes, that was definitely a nail biter there. The difference ended up being, as you probably figured out, was the ordeals versus ice cave gamble. jkoper did go to ice cave first, and that was definitely the difference maker there.
Hey, can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Excellent. Yeah, it's kind of what I expected the difference was. I can't remember how many times, or the last time I had to back out of both Waterfall and Sea Shrine without having exit or warp. That was extremely weird.
Yeah, the one advantage your party comp had, jkoper went fighter black belt double red mage. That was a party composition after my own heart.
Okay.
But the one advantage you had over him was potential access to exit and warp, but both of them being level 8 and so late, that kind of went out the window for your comp, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was kind of brutal. And then it was just a matter of, okay, where's the crown? And the crown was in the exact last the last chest I looked at. In fact, I was a little worried I had missed something, because I had gotten down to the last chest, I think, that was available left in Sky Castle. And there was, that last room and there's no crown. And I'm thinking to myself, great, did I miss something in Volcano or did I miss something somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, literally the last possible chest in the game is where crown was. There was no other place it could have been. So were you starting to get worried when you were going into Sky Castle, like, oh my god, did I miss something somewhere? Or
yes.
Were you pretty confident?
Yeah. Oh, I was terrified. I thought for sure I had missed something somewhere. But and then of course you get down to that last room and you're like, what the heck? It's got to be somewhere.
jkoper joining us now. Good game to you, sir.
Hey, thank you. Good game, Mia.
Hey, good game to you as well.
I take it you were just talking about the crown.
Yeah, it was the absolute last chest I checked in Sky Castle, and I was telling the commentators that I was starting to doubt myself whether I had missed a chest somewhere.
So, did you not skip anything?
No, I went pretty much everywhere. The guys in chat here told me that you went Ice Cave and I went Ordeals, and that was the difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty tight race. The seed was very kind of linear in the beginning, and then when it opened up, I mean, it was really great to watch. You guys put on a great show, but it definitely opened up a little bit at the end, and that was the difference maker.
jkoper, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this one fight we saw on the Bridge of Destiny.
I yeah, I don't know. Like, did I want to reset and redo all of the Sky Castle and everything? And man, that was
We were honestly debating that strategy because at that point you knew where Crown was and you could have skipped everything else. So we were
Yeah.
wondering if the consideration was there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like I was taking a lot of damage, and they were slowly running away from me eventually, so it got better. But man, did that take forever. I don't know if I spent at least 5 minutes on that one fight or what.
Chad estimated that it was about 3 minutes and 30 seconds of time lost strictly to Maya. What happened was Zar was on the bridge, or jkoper was on the bridge of Destiny where Warmac is, and he ran into a sorcerer fight and got trance stunned for about 3.5 minutes.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, it was a good time. Man, I skipped ordeals, and then I also skipped I skipped 4 chests in earth, and I skipped the floater chest in ice.
Yeah, I was a little worried for you that. I mean, we ended up finding out right away as commentary, but I was a little worried for you that Crown might end up being in the eye guarded chest in Ice Cave.
Well, I mean, I was well aware of what I was doing.
Oh
I
yeah,
was just like, I can
It's a
get out
smart
of here
gamble.
right now, or I can spend another several minutes checking one chest when, this slab opened up, like dozens of chests at least. I don't know what the exact number is, but
it's quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It seemed kind of, playing an absolute safe strategy. Check the eye chest then, but yeah. If I had not found anything, then I'd go and check the eye chest because then I can just reset out of ice. But with the slab, I just called it for then. So yeah, I don't know.
You have. I'm sorry.
I gave a short consideration to a different party at the start, but I'm pretty sure it ended up being the right call. With the spells that were available to me were far from ideal, but they were more than practical, more than useful enough for me to do whatever I needed to do. So,
Yeah, I think the only thing you were really missing, in case you're curious, Exit and Warp were both level 8 spells in Gaia. That was really the only thing you were missing.
that's funny. Did Mia get either of those?
Yes, I had one white and one black mage, and so no, I didn't have any any luck picking those up.
Okay.
Well, you did, but level 8 charges are so rare and so late on the leveling scheme. It's just, I mean, you really had no use for them by the time you could cast them.
Yeah, it was sort of a moot point at that point, and then having to it just feels like you're losing so much time having to walk out of the waterfall and walk back out of the sea shrine after you check all the top of the chests. It gets that itch down your back that you're just losing time.
Yeah, I think with your composition, Maya, that was definitely a kind of a way for you to maybe gain some time on jkoper, but the positioning of those spells on the randomizer just ended up not helping you out at all. I think Fade was level 8 too, wasn't it? White magic?
Yes, it was.
We also saw a small difference in strategy with the two of you going for the bottle. Maya went for Oasis, and Anorak kind of playing the 2 out of 3 odds at that point. jkoper, you went right for Gaia, chancing that it would be in the same town as the ferry.
Oh yeah. I've taken to doing that because it's like so close to Crescent Lake, or not Crescent Lake, but the airship desert. Like you just hold straight down and you land right there. And yeah, that was my only one of my only regrets from this race was walking out of town when I'm like, oh, that was dumb, and then walked right back in and got the
Oh, the bottle.
what do you want to call it? Yeah, got the Axiale.
Well,
But-
I always like to ask runners, what's one thing you'd like to see in the next race? And for the two of you, that'll be the deciding match in this best of 3. Maya, let's start with you. What's one thing you're hoping to see in the next one?
That's a good question. I would like to see a sub 2-hour seed. Is what I would like to see. That's what I would be excited for.
Yeah, you guys have had some relatively troll seeds in your first 2 face-offs here.
Yeah, well, the last one was almost free if you just did the right thing, I guess. But
How about you, jkoper? What would you like to see for your final matchup, round 3?
I don't know. I like I like improvising, so I don't want anything in particular.
I mean, you could even say out of bounds bat if you wanted.
No, I don't want out of bounds bat. I'm not big on the memes.
Fair
Out of
enough.
bounds bat is just a bat that, it picked the right RNG number at the start of the waterfall. Doesn't mean much to me.
Fair enough. So, jkoper, if people hit you up with a follow, what times can they usually see you stream, and what do you like to stream?
I stream all sorts of randomizers and a few other things. Pretty much every night around this time until whenever I get tired, or sometimes other times as well.
Awesome. Well, make sure you give both our excellent runners a follow here. I threw their stuff up in the chat there. You can find jkoper and ichbinmiah both on their channels there. I'd like to give some shout-outs to my co-commentator, Trenton. He's a great guy, does lots of Final Fantasy Randomizer races with us, and also like to give shout-outs to our tracker, Shalasia, who tracked both the last race and this one. So big props and ups to those guys for all the work they do. And finally, would like to thank Fiesel for giving us space on his channel to hold our awesome races. So with that said, I think we're going to, Fiesel tells me that we're going to be sending you guys over to the other Final Fantasy Randomizer race that is currently in progress over at Speed Gaming 2. So if you love this type of content, make sure you stay tuned to both this channel and Fiesel's other Speed Gaming 2 channel. And we will see you guys next mission.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you to our runners, and thank you to everyone else.